A few days ago, I recorded my last ever Linux Sucks presentation, and for those of you who have been following me for a while, you know I've done these things for a long time. I mean, a really long time. Since 2009 and in internet years, that's for friggin' ever. And I want to talk about it a little bit because it's interesting to me, and I've just got some tidbits I wouldn't mind throwing out there to the world. Before we get into that, I want to talk about a few other random things. First is the contest that's going on right now between myself and Wendell from over at Level 1 Techs. This is a little bit of an interesting thing. All right. The contest was simple. For those of you who missed the couple episodes where we talked about that, Wendell's awesome, I'm awesome, we came together to make a contest. The contest had very few rules. The rules were you have to put Linux on something that you wouldn't normally expect to find Linux on. And then that's it. And then we put it out there, and then our audiences get to vote on who wins. Really, really simple. There's no criteria beyond that. No real rules beyond that. And it's very loose-knit. Now, Wendell's project came out amazing. He made a 1200 baud modem, shoved 2 computers inside of it, did this whole BBSing history retrospective thing, which really, you know me, I love that stuff, and it was just fantastic. He put a little mini flux capacitor thing in the top of it, drilled a little hole. It's just cute as a button. He absolutely won. I worked on a Puppet. If you've seen any of my old videos, I called this puppet Mr. Lunduke. However, I was the world's worst puppeteer, so I thought, what if I automate it? What if I make it a mechanical puppet that kind of speaks and does some things to it? Now, I have no mechanical engineering experience whatsoever. I'm a software guy, right? I can handle the programming of it. The mechanical side of things, I bit off far more than I can chew, to be sure. However, things on my end went more spectacularly wrong than I could have possibly imagined. I'm putting together I want to call it a memorial video, a nice sort of a cheesy, wistful song. I've got to find something that's good in Creative Commons license, something kind of like have I told you lately that I love you sort of a thing. Something really uplifting and inspiring but Creative Commons so I can use it here and in my podcast and whatnot. And then I'm putting together all the clips that I pulled together while I was building this thing. And some of those clips are going to be a little horror movie-esque because part of the puppet's face ripped off. And it's creepy as all hell. So I know I'm being a little cagey about it right now. I'm going to hopefully get that video out maybe tomorrow or the next day. It's not going to be an official Lunduke Hour thing right now, but I kind of want... It's so creepy looking when its face is ripped off. So, you know what? I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I'm going to post that in the next couple of days. You guys can watch it and take a look at it. But the takeaway from it is this. I lost that competition so bad, so very, very bad. Voting is going on right now. Voting started yesterday afternoon. And I came up with this thing where, you know what, I will bribe people because we didn't create rules around this competition. We always envisioned this as being kind of a Top Gear-y style thing where we do our best. Clearly, at least one of us is going to overshoot and come up with something that's way outside of their ability to create and fail spectacularly, and then we'll need to cheat. That was always in the cards. That was always something me and Wendell thought would happen here. I didn't think it would quite happen this badly, but hey, we roll with it, right? So I offered to people, if you vote for me, and there's a link to vote in the comments for this video and for yesterday's and over on Wendell's video, or you can just go find it probably on my Twitter feed somewhere. If you vote for me, take a screenshot of you voting for me and then post a link to that on Twitter to verify it, you get entered into a contest. And one of those people that enters is going to win a couple of things. And I'm just going to go over them real quick here because, well, I think there's some pretty cool things. The first one is a Shield tablet from NVIDIA, which is a really cool tablet. It's a really, really cool gaming tablet. Comes with a really nice controller. You can hook it up to your TV and kind of use it as a dedicated gaming console. It runs Android. You can load it up with whatever you want. It's basically a fantastic emulation console. It's good for that sort of thing. So I'm going to give away one of those, but I'm also going to give away a pocket chip. Now, the reason I'm giving this away, one, it's really cool. And if you've watched the episode, we did an interview with the head of the company that makes the pocket chip. Super cool. But most importantly, this little computer right there, that pocket chip, is the computer that I shoved up the butt of my Puppet in order to power it. So this was the Linux powered part of the Puppet that failed so spectacularly. And so I thought it only fitting that I give one of these away. So there you have it. One person is going to win both. It's sort of a Linux handheld gaming, good for emulation mega pack thing. So that's that. Now here's where things went a little sideways, a little unexpectedly. Clearly, Wendell, my competitor, my rival, should win this competition. He created something great that actually functioned. I took on way more than I was capable of achieving. I pulled a few things off, but overall, it's a galactic failure. I mean, when my own contraption rips the face of its own Puppet off, it rips its own face off, I feel like that's a failure. So clearly, Wendell should win, right? Clearly. So I bribed people, and I thought, you know what? I'm not going to win. Even with bribing people, I should not win. Because if people vote for me, they're saying I'm going to vote for who would clearly lose. Like, clearly, I'm voting for the loser. I'm voting for someone who doesn't deserve to win this competition. And I'm voting against someone who should win the competition. So if you vote for me, you're a bad person, but you get entered to win these really cool things. It's kind of funny. It's a goofball thing to do. We're just having fun. But someone in the last couple of hours, let's see if I can pull this up here, has started scripting the voting results. So someone is running a script that is voting for me over and over and over again. So far there have been 18,000 here. Let's refresh this page here. Let's see, 19,000 and counting votes put in, with 89% of them being for me, and 10% being for Wendell, which is clearly, also there's 1% missing, which is really weird. Clearly erroneous. Like, that's not even possible. Like, as of this morning, it was exactly reversed. I had, I think, 15% of the vote, which makes sense. You know what? I bribed you guys. 15% of you were susceptible to being bribed. Totally makes sense to me. That's kind of what I expected. I expected to get somewhere between 10 and 20%. That's what I was shooting for. I just didn't want to get 0%. That was my whole goal with this, right? Because clearly Wendell wins. He should win. As of right now, though, someone has scripted this anonymous poll system we have, and I am now absolutely crushing Wendell. And I don't really know what to do about that. I'm going to make this clear. I did not do this. And I don't want to say that I'm adverse to cheating, because clearly I'm willing to bribe you guys in order to try and win. I did not do this. So, in fact, I actually voted for Wendell twice, because you can vote from different machines, and I did it from my tablet, and then I came here to just a minute ago to start recording this show, but in order to see the results, I have to vote again. So I actually voted for Wendell 2 times, because clearly he needs to win. But oh my gosh, you guys look at that. It's crazy. So 19,800 when I last refreshed. What is it now after I refresh it again? It's 19,900. I mean, it's just clicking up like crazy. It is absolutely bonkers. I don't know what to make of any of that. But you know what? We've got a whole week. Next Tuesday is when voting closes. I assume we'll close it at like 2 p.m. next Tuesday or something like that. What's going to happen between now and then? I don't know. I don't know what the communities from both me and Level 1 Tech's, Wendell's community. I don't know what the various communities are going to do. I don't know how people are going to respond, but I'll tell you what, I am really, really amused by it, because I love people. People have been tweeting me all the time with like hashtags like bribed, hashtags I am easily bought. amused, super, super amused. Okay. So that contest is going on right now. Keep watching it. If you don't follow me on Twitter or Wendell on Twitter, do so. Find some links, whatever. It's tons of fun. We're having a good time here. The other thing I want to talk about before we get into the meat of the show is finally, starting on Monday, we got a new camera. I'll show you here. So we got an HDMI capture card coming in. Should be arriving tomorrow. And one that's supposed to be working well under Linux, which good job. Currently, we're using a webcam, a Logitech webcam. It's a nice one. I mean, as far as webcams go, right? However, we now have a DSLR, a dedicated DSLR with HDMI outputs from Canon, a little Canon Rebel T5i. You know, it's not like the most expensive DSLR in the world, but it's got HDMI out, and it's got a microphone input jack so I can record on the go with this, which is fantastic. Now that's pretty cool. Also, what's really nice about this particular one, it's got a flip out screen, so I can flop the screen out so I can see myself in the camera to kind of frame up the shots and whatnot without looking too far away from the lens. It's really, really neat. I'm really happy with that. So we've got a nice camera going on. So this should all be looking a lot fancier this time next week. So by Monday, I don't think it'll be in time for tomorrow, Thursday's show, but for Monday's show for sure. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. This weekend, I'm going to set up the new camera. I've got a tripod that's going to go right here, right where the webcam currently goes on my little recording station I've got set up. Pointed it to my big wall of foam and triangles that are behind me, and I'm really excited about that. We have some lighting coming in too. The lighting is more just kind of some LED lights, some colored LED lights that I can place around the studio here and really make it a little bit fancier. Okay, all that out of the way. Now, Linux sucks. So it was recorded last Thursday. I think it was March 2nd. It's the last one I'm ever doing of these. And if you haven't watched it yet, I recommend it. I released it on Monday. I released it on Monday on my YouTube channel. And it was a lot of fun. It was really cool. I recorded it down at the Southern California Linux Expo. So the second year I've done it there, and it was a blast. They have a nice big room there that they were able to kind of accommodate everybody. It was just a ton of fun. You know, big crowd turns out. We have a blast. We have a ball. Everyone really hangs out, and super, super enjoyable. I started doing this back at Linux Fest Northwest, which is a conference that's held up in Bellingham, Washington every year. And I started doing that back in about 2009. And when I first did it, the first, I want to say 3 I did there were in just little classrooms. You know, it's the conference is held at a technical college. And they don't really do keynote speakers or anything like that up at Linux Fest. They just have sessions, mostly very technical sessions held usually in classrooms spread throughout the technical college there. And that's where I started doing this. And it kind of just grew from there. The first 2 or 3 years, you know, it got many thousands of views. I want to say the first one or the second one hit like 40,000 views. And at the time, that was the biggest thing I had ever done. And I thought, wow, holy moly, I got like 40,000 people watch this, or 20,000 people watched it twice. But it was so exciting that many people would watch a presentation detailing my personal gripes about the operating system that I choose. And that was really cool. It was a lot of fun, and it was received pretty well. And then sometime a couple of years later, things really exploded. You know, we did one and it got like 100 or 200,000 views. I was like, whoa, seriously? I was not anticipating having quite that many people watching my stuff. And it just kind of exploded from there. And then, you know, I did one in 2014, I want to say, that is now up to like 1.1 million views. And last year's, the 2016 one is up over 600,000 views. And it just got huge. And it just blew my mind. It is by far the biggest thing I've done audience-wise. I mean, some of my articles get read by a lot of people. You know, I write articles for Network World, and a couple other websites, and some of them, and my own site sometimes, and some of them get read by tons of people. Most of them don't. Most of them, get a good, 10,000 reads or whatever, and that's great. That's great. I mean, I love, I love the core people that read my stuff, and it's amazing. But the Linux Sucks stuff seemed to just take off in a totally unexpected way for me, and it kind of became almost an institution. Like it was a thing beyond my control. I mean, because while I can take a certain level of credit for it because I did it, it 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 clearly was something that the community wanted and needed, regardless of who was doing it. It was something that really just took off. And that one year, that 2014 one, that's when everything kind of changed. Back in 2014, almost 3 years ago now. And that one it's up over 1.1 million now, and like, wow. It's just amazing. I mean, I do these shows, the Lunduke Hour here, and I'm really happy with how it's going. I'm really happy. I love it all. Like the stats for it are great. Every episode's getting several thousand views, and it's just doing well. It's doing what I want it to do. It's giving me a place to talk about the things I want to talk about and do the stuff I want to do goofy competitions with fun people that I like, to interview and have chats with some of the most amazing people in the technology and open source world doing such cool stuff. It's enabling me to do all that, and I love that. But when I go out and about, people actually recognize me from the Linux Sucks stuff. Like I was at Disneyland a year ago. I want to say a year ago. It was sometime after last year's Southern California Linux Expo. Or was it before? It was after. It was after. And I was out there with my daughter. My daughter was 5 at the time, just turned 5. And she and I were at Disney's California Adventure, and we were walking around, and we were having a good time. It was a nice sunny day. We'd gone on a few rides. We were about to go have lunch. We made reservations at one of the Disney lunch restaurants there, and we were about to go have some lunch, and it was cool. We were walking along, and kind of walking next to us was another guy with, I want to say his son, and he kept looking over at me weird, and it kind of caught my eye. When someone kind of looks at you a few times, it kind of catches your attention out of the corner of your eye, and I kind of look over at him, and I kind of do this, say, hey man, what's up, and he looks at me, and he does this pointing thing, and he points at me, and he gets this little smile on his face, and he goes, Linux sucks? Like kind of a question, like, am I the Linux Sucks guy? And it kind of caught me off guard, because I'm at Disneyland just hanging out with my kid. I'm, whatever. And I kind of smile at him. I'm like, Brian, you can just call me Brian. You don't have to call me Linux Sucks if you don't want to. But yeah, that's me. So, and gave him a high five, and we went our separate ways after chatting for just a minute. And that sort of thing happens actually fairly often. And not for anything else I do, not for, the podcasts I do. I mean, I've been on some really good podcasts, and like, I started the Linux Action Show with my old partner Chris Fisher back over with that endeavor, and that kind of became one of the biggest Linuxy podcasts in the world, at least for the time. And then I did Bad Voltage with my Bad Voltage friends, and did that for like 3 years, and it was a great show. We put on some great live shows, very raucous and crazy with big crowds and everything. It was tons of fun. But people don't recognize me from any of these things. They don't recognize me from the Lunduke Hour. They recognize me from Linux Sucks. And that's great. I mean, I don't really have a problem with that. It's just interesting. More than anything I've ever done, Linux Sucks really kind of grabbed people. And it's been a lot of fun. I have been tremendously lucky to get to do this. And I'm ending it, right? So this is my last Linux Sucks. And it's a really good question that I keep getting asked, is why on earth am I ending it when people are still enjoying it? People are still watching it in droves. People are packing in rooms to see this. I mean, it's why end it? When people recognize me on the street because I do this thing, why would I stop doing that thing? Especially when clearly my career is all about me getting out there in front of people. And if you haven't watched the Linux Sucks from 2017, this current last one yet, it's kind of hard to explain. But basically, in a nutshell, um, it's time. It's time to end it. And it's not that I'm bored of doing it. Truth be told, I could get up and do it every couple months if I wanted to, and I would still enjoy it. But it just feels like the right time to end it, you know? And there's a few other reasons than that, but if you watch the video, it kind of becomes clear, I think, by the end. And I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep doing presentations like crazy. I've got a bunch of presentations that I want to be doing up at Linux Fest Northwest, where I started Linux Sucks, that I think will be a lot of fun. And I think eventually could become as large as Linux Sucks. I'm sure not at first. It always takes time to grow those sorts of things. But man, I really have enjoyed doing it. And I wanted to say a big thank you to everyone who's helped promote those shows, to spread the word about them, that everyone that's just watched them and enjoyed them. That's meant a lot to me. And just so you know, just so you're aware, I really don't mind it if you watch Linux Sucks and you see me on the street, if you come up and high five me or something. I give out high fives rather freely. It's totally okay. As an example, some years back, I was at a children's museum, and I don't know if I've told this story on here before. I don't know. Maybe. I was at a children's museum, and I was there with my daughter. She was much younger. This was a couple of years before the Disneyland thing, and we were just goofing off. And at one point, I just kind of sat down and just rested on a bench while she played with, some train sets or something that was at this museum. And I look on my tablet and I look on Twitter, and someone had posted a picture of me from the Children's Museum. And I was like, whoa. He was like, whoa, Brian's here. And no one had come up to me to say hi. He just literally posted a picture of me on Twitter. And I look around because he'd just done this. And I'm like, what just happened here? That was kind of creepy. And so I look around and I found the guy. The guy was totally not creepy. He just didn't really think about it. He just was like, oh, cool, Brian's here. And took a picture and posted it on Twitter. And I'm like, dude, just come up to me next time. That was a little weird. I feel like I'm being stalked, like just a little bit. Luckily, that doesn't happen too often, but just come up and say hi. It's totally okay. Anyway, I would like to take this opportunity to say, and I said it in the show, but to say thank you to both Linux Fest Northwest and to Scale for letting me do this, letting me do those shows. And I hope you guys will let me come and do some more of my shows, because I've got a lot of stuff in the works, a lot of stuff planned that I think is going to be a huge amount of fun. I don't know if it's going to be better than Linux Sucks, worse than Linux Sucks, just totally different, partially different. Either way, it's still me standing on a stage, probably talking about baked potatoes for a half hour. I mean, realistically, you have Brian Lunduke on a stage, you get what you get. But there you have it. I just wanted to say thank you to everybody. Also, this was the first year I had a sponsor for one of my presentations, which was truly exciting. So Pogo Linux, the guys over at Pogo Linux, they make servers and big developer workstations and things like that, and big storage devices and whatnot. And they're very cool guys. They've been around for friggin' ever. And I first met them up at Linux Fest Northwest, and I think they're based out of Seattle, and they're really cool guys. And I don't know if you remember, but some weeks back, I posed the question to you, to the community: how would you best like to see this show funded, right? Because we want to do stuff like, get new cameras, like get the new camera we got, and make things look better and sound better, more foam padding for the walls. You can never have too much foam padding. And, do we push the Patreon thing harder, which the Patreon stuff really helps out a ton, and the 100 some odd people that are our Patreon supporters, you guys and gals are amazing. Or do we do telethons? Do we do fundraisers or Kickstarters? Or do we go the route of getting paid supporters and advertisers? And the overwhelming feedback I got was, yeah, you know what? Bring in sponsors, but bring in really good ones. Bring in relevant ones. Bring in ones that you would personally want to actually use. So I thought about it, and what I really am okay with having on this show as a supporter, as a sponsor, are the companies that are producing hardware preloaded with Linux. You know, the Pogo Linuxes and whatnot of the world. And there's others, and I've interviewed several of them on this show, and they're amazing. And I mean, hell, I'll say them. You know, the Dells, the System 76s. There's Zarizen. There's a whole bunch of them out there that are preloading systems with Linux, that are making sure that they work great with Linux. And I feel like those companies need to be supported, not credit card companies. Honestly, not even cell phone companies. And web hosts are good. Companies are good, but honestly, that doesn't really jive with me. I want to support on this show the companies that are making cool gadgets running Linux, that are making laptops and desktop computers and servers and metal that's preloaded with Linux. These are the companies that I want to support, because these are the type of things that I personally want, that I get excited about. So, Pogo Linux, you're the first official sponsor of the shenanigans I do, and I want to thank you guys for that. They're not supporting this show right now. This is just me literally just high-fiving them over the internet for their support of Linux Sucks that we just did. That was super great of you guys. That was awesome. And if you haven't seen the video yet, it's great. We talked about it a little bit, about how to work them into the show and do it in a way that actually is fun, right? Like I'm not interested in putting up a presentation or a show and having a commercial in it. I don't want to like read a bunch of ad copy. Like I don't want to turn on the Lunduke Hour or turn on a Linux Sucks video and stop 5 minutes into it and now brought to you by Kellogg's Cornflakes. They're great. I don't want any garbage like that. I want it to be how I want it to be. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be relevant to me, and I want it to be reasonable. Like, so we talked about it, and we came up with some ideas, and they filmed this really short video clip. And the whole video clip was literally their CEO, the CEO of Pogo Linux, in like their little like data testing center. Not, you know, the whole shtick was someone was like, "Hey, Brian Lunduke's on the phone," and the guy, the data center, was like, Who's that?" And the guy was off screen was like, you know, the Linux Sucks dude." And the CEO was like, "What? Tell him to call back. I'm busy playing Zelda." And that was it. It's just literally him hanging out in a data center playing the original NES version of Legend of Zelda and giving me the brush off. That was the commercial. That was the commercial for a big Linux hardware vendor making servers and desktops and everything else. And I loved that. That was awesome. Like, if that's me in the audience watching that, that endears me to them. You know what I mean? Like, that's cool. We know they make hardware, right? Now we also know that they're cool, nerdy guys with a sense of humor. And on top of all that, they're incredibly comfortable with who they are, their products, and what they do. And they're comfortable enough with Linux to support something called Linux Sucks. And that's super neat, right? Anyway, I think that's really cool. And I'm really excited that I got to do that. I mean, I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I got that opportunity to do that. And I don't know that I did anything special to earn that opportunity, but damn, that was fun. Anyway, there you have it. That's it. This is the last Linux Sucks that I'm never going to be doing. I will be up at Linux Fest Northwest this year, which takes place, let's see, it's March 8th now. I think it's the beginning of May, first week of May, I want to say. Ooh, that rhymed. Hey, okay. No way. That's all I got. It's hard to rhyme on the fly. But I'll be up there. I submitted a bunch of proposals to them for some things that I think would be fun to do. If you're anywhere near Bellingham, Washington, come on up. I'll be there. Some of my other friends will be there. It'll be a really, really fun time. We'll have a blast. It's always a good time up at Linux Fest Northwest. And the great thing is, it's a free show. At least it always has been before. I don't know if it is this year, but it's a free show to go to. It's kind of supported by the technical college there and the user group there and all the companies that you know pay a little bit to be able to exhibit there in their exhibit hall. And it's just a free one to attend. And, you know, it's like 2,000 some odd Linux nerds pile into Bellingham, Washington, which is not a huge town. It's kind of like a mid-sized little city. And it's So much fun. Anyway, you guys can find that by just doing a quick search for it. I don't need to put a link somewhere. I would say I would put a link in the in the description of the show, but the reality is I'm gonna forget that. So find Linux Fest Northwest and go there if you want to. I would love to meet you guys. If you do go, please come by and meet me. Just give me a high five. Don't take a picture from me across the room and post it up all creepily. Oh, and before I go, that's all I got. I was gonna mention something about the contest thing, and then I remembered I just talked about the contest thing during the whole beginning of the show. That's literally all I got. I literally have absolutely nothing else to say right now. Tomorrow we'll be back with a regular guest. Lunduke Hour is after Scale. It's all done. No more Scale conference, so we're kind of kicking back into normal gear. We've got a guest on the show tomorrow. Got a guest lined up for next week. Next week's gonna be a ton of fun, and a new camera. So how crazy is that? So not only do we have guests rolling through, but we should have good video for the first time in human history. Good video for Brian Lunduke's show. That's crazy to me. I don't know what's going to happen. Either nothing's going to happen, or maybe the show's just going to tank because everyone's going to be like, I expect my Brian Lunduke show to be kind of out of focus half the time and filmed on something really chintzy and crappy. It's really impossible to know. But thank you, everybody, and I will see you guys tomorrow, because tomorrow is, I forgot the saying about tomorrow.